Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you were not supposed to be there? Like everyone else fit in effortlessly, but you were the outlier, the one who didn't belong? And maybe you're the only woman in a male dominated space, the only person of color in an industry that doesn't reflect you. Maybe you're the oldest person in a room full of young, fast moving entrepreneurs, or the youngest person trying to be taken seriously. Maybe you don't even know why you feel like you don't belong. You just know that you feel that way. I know that feeling well, and I just felt it again this past weekend in Hong Kong. I was there for an internal meeting with Open Campus, one of our partners, and a Web3 education company that's redefining how people learn. And I found myself sitting there in these conversations with some very young, smart, and innovative minds in tech. But as I sat in that room, something hit me. Wait, do I really belong here? And that feeling, that exact thought is what I want to talk to you about today, and what it means to feel like an outsider, to be the only one, and to still choose to show up anyway. Because too many people let that feeling stop them from stepping into spaces where they could thrive. They talk themselves out of opportunities before they even give themselves a chance. And that is exactly how you miss out on everything that was meant for you. So, this feeling that I was just talking about, I've had this experience my whole life, walking into rooms and being the only one who looks like me. Being a Black woman lawyer in industries that weren't built with me in mind, being an entrepreneur in a legal world that tells you to follow the rules and stay in your lane, dress this way, keep your hair this way, and now stepping deeper into the world of Web3, I feel it again, but in a different way. You know, in tech and Web3, the spaces are young. I'm over 40. And let's be real, this industry can feel like it's moving at a speed that's meant for people fresh out of college. The energy, the language, even the way people dress, the way people work, it's just different. It is not corporate. It's built on disruption, on tearing down old systems, on innovation. And when you don't see many people that look like yourself in a room, it's so easy to question if you should even be there. But here's the thing. If you're the only one, that doesn't mean you're in the wrong place. It means you're in the place that needs you. And that's what I realized this weekend. You know, I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. They assume that if they don't immediately fit in, they should shy back away. They shrink themselves. They decide, oh, maybe this isn't for me. And they stay in spaces that feel comfortable. They stay in places where the world tells them, oh, this is where you belong. You should be here because everyone that looks like you is here, and that's where you should be. And they don't challenge those ideals. So here's the thing. Every community you see today, every industry, every innovation was built by people who did not fit in at first. The Open Campus team is full of disruptors. These are people who don't care about what's normal. They reject the idea that things have to be done a certain way. They're looking for the most effective way. They're looking for the way that brings the most impact, that resolves the most change. And that's why they're able to create change. And that brings me to this notion of the power of disruption. And that's something I saw very clearly with the Open Campus team. They're disruptors. They're not here to fit in into any existing system. They're here to break it, to rebuild it for something better. And I think that is so powerful. You know, and when I look at my own journey, I realize that's what I've been doing my whole life. Being a lawyer, I never felt the traditional mold. I remember showing up at work in Connecticut and, you know, just walking into this old traditional law firm. Being a Black woman, I was a mother of two at the time. I had both of my kids during law school. I spoke Chinese. I was just different. And I always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I always had these ideas floating around in the back of my head where I just wanted to grab partners and say, you're doing this wrong. We need to do it this way. And why am I even, can't you guys see that this is the wrong way to do it? But even they had been conditioned to do things a certain way. And when you've been practicing law for 20, 25 years, You're not really open to doing things differently. But I always knew I wanted to do things differently. And that's why I've been able to build what I have now, because I stopped trying to fit into a system that wasn't meant for me, and I started creating my own. That's what we all have to do in Web3, in business, and in life. There's no difference between any of those. We got to stop looking for permission, and we have to stop waiting to be invited to the table and just build the damn table ourselves. I think this is what Open Campus represents. They're disrupting education, making it decentralized, giving power back to students and educators, and redefining what it means to learn. But to be part of something like that, you have to be willing to reject the status quo. You have to trust that little voice inside of you, the one that's telling you to go for it, the one that's telling you to raise your hand and to speak up and to say your idea, no matter how crazy it may seem that you would even be raising your hand in the first place, even if no one else around you understands it yet. I must say, there's another side to this too. It's the fear of not fitting in. Because let's be honest, it's not just about being different, it's about what happens because you're different. And I think that's a huge distinction. It's about being ignored in meetings. It's about having your ideas dismissed. It's about feeling like you have to prove yourself over and over again just to get to the same level of respect that others get automatically, just when they walk in the room, just when they show up. And sometimes it's easier to just stay out of the space entirely, right? You get tired. I hear this over and over again. People are just tired. They are exhausted, and they don't even want to try. But to tell yourself, I don't belong here anyway, so why bother? That is the wrong way to think. And I know that too, because I've been there. I've felt that. But I also know that nothing great ever comes from playing it safe. Like, for sure, I felt that with every decision I've made in my life. Starting back with, like I said, having children during law school. Who does that, right? Traveling the world, traveling to China. And I was the first person in my family to even go to Asia. And I experienced so much pushback from my family at the time. No one understood why I was doing what I was doing, and I was not playing it safe. And I have never played it safe when I look back at my life. I never have. But the people who create the biggest impact are the ones who push through that discomfort. And it doesn't matter where the discomfort is coming from. It could be coming from inside of you. It could be coming from your peer group. It could be coming from what you see on TV. Right? You may see stereotypes or images of people who look like you on TV, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to do that. That looks cool. Well, maybe you're not, right? Look, I love rap, but I am not acting like Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion. I am not, right? And I don't want my daughters to. So it's really about being brave enough to stand up and say, yeah, but that's not me. And that's where you start to find your voice, and that's when you start to feel comfortable saying, I'm here and I have something to say. Because if you don't take up space, trust me, someone else will. And if you don't chase the opportunities that scare you, you will never know what could have been. So I want to ask you, where in your life have you held yourself back because you felt like you didn't belong? I know it's a scary question. Is it in your career? Is it in a new industry you've been too afraid to step into? Is it the business you want to start but keep delaying because you don't see people like you doing it? Because if I've learned anything, it's this. You don't have to fit in everywhere. You just have to find the right places where your uniqueness is the exact thing that's missing. Maybe that means joining a Web3 community. I don't know. Maybe it means finally starting that business. Maybe that means showing up in rooms where you don't see anyone like you yet until you step in. Because what if you're meant to be the first? What if you are meant to be the one who makes it easier for the next person? Remember, it's not always all about us. And I, of all people, I have a hard time coming to that realization. It's not always about me. Sometimes I'm doing stuff and it's not about an immediate payback for me. It's about showing up so someone else who maybe doesn't have that courage, who maybe needs a bit of a push, can be like, oh, she's there. She's a mom. She's got 4 kids. That's crazy. Maybe I can step in and do something similar, right? Look, at the end of the day, the people who succeed in life, in business, in innovation, are the ones who don't wait for permission. They're the ones who stop looking for a seat at the table and start building their own. And that's what I saw in Hong Kong. And that's what I want you to embrace in your own journey. So today, I want you to do one thing. Take one small step toward that thing you've been afraid to claim as your own. Reach out to someone in the space, join a community, join our community, join Bite Bow, right? Anything, but just start learning, start engaging, start showing up. Because the truth is, you don't need to fit in everywhere. You just need to find the right place where your uniqueness is the exact thing that's missing. Guys, I thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate each and every one of you. If this episode spoke to you, send me a message, share it. Let's keep this conversation going. And I'll see you the next time on The Jamelia Greer Show.